When do you first hear about matrimony? Now we need to establish the chronology of matrimony very exactly for the future. When do you first hear about the idea of matrimony, and by whom?
That is quite a thriller because when as you know, Mother spoke about matrimony in the very beginning of 1970, January 70.
To Paolo Tomasini?
Partially, but mainly with Sat Prem.
Okay, in the Ajata.
All this is recorded in the agenda.
Right.
There is one conversation on the 31st December 69, and other three conversations at the beginning of...
As far as you know, this is the first time she talks about matrimony.
Yes, but of course, this was agenda. The agenda was not a public thing, and we were not even knowing about the agenda, in fact. So the first person I think we hear about that, what happening, was Paolo Tomasi. He told us about his idea of a matrimony out of a spherical form. I think Paolo was in the little bit in this mood, that was for the matrimony to have a globe.
There are some stories that Paolo is the one who told the mother, gave the idea to the mother that there should be a place in Auroville.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, yes.
So he's the first one.
He spoke about that with Sat Prem, and Sat Prem brought to Mother.
So that is correct.
The letter of Paolo to Mother about that is lost, unfortunately, because there was only one copy and we have never seen the text exactly.
But that is the truth, most probably.
It's very truth, yes. Very much.
And then the second story, that Uda did the first sketch and showed it to the mother.
No, then this is already part of the project. That's happened there. So in these few weeks around these dates that we mentioned before, beginning of January 70, there was the formulation of some ideas, the vision of the mother of the inner chamber with the crystal globe.
That's entirely the mother.
That is entirely
the mother.
That is completely, and when the idea came or was on the progress, it was not. I mean, it was all very vague, but was clearly a new thing that was happening, and it was important.
You were interested? You were at that time?
I was interested, but it was looking, when we were here building some huts and going around in the sun, no trees, it was it was appearing some, but this is mythology, they are dreaming something that may come, not come, but anyhow, some. But then, after this period of formulation and discussion, Sat Prem typed those conversations for the architects. So he made 2 or 3 copies, not himself, but he made a transcription in anticipation of the agenda. He the transcript of the tape of the voice. Yes.
And you got 1 copy.
Yeah, and then Nata itself got a copy and gave it to me, this copy, to read.
And there the mother's vision is there, the crystal, the pillars.
Yeah, the whole conversation is there. But again, there was the condition, you read that and bring me back, no photocopies, don't tell anybody, and so and so. So I read, Gloria read, but then we were again in the vague, that's beautiful, fantastic, incredible. Incredible was to think the mother at the heart of a project like that. This was from the beginning, the feeling that this globe striken by light was a symbol that was not more human, not.
You thought it was not possible technically?
No, not for that. But I thought that no one architect in the world can imagine a thing like that. It's not an invention. It's not an invention that similar to somebody else.
Yeah, something unique.
It's something absolutely unique, and it was coming from a level that I would say I define it as a stroke of genius, because by the way, it was for me was from the beginning a transparent globe. This was the idea was the fantastic idea was that it's a transparent, because it loses materiality. It's not a sculpture you put there. It's something that you hardly can see that. So I was very much.
What happens after that? How does at that moment only Paolo Tomasini is involved, and
Paolo
you are involved
and Nata was involved.
Nata. Nobody else. Uda?
No, I want to clarify that. When Mother have spoken about that with Sat Prem, she told him, I will call somebody to make a sketch out or a drawing out of this, because the idea was very clear, the 12-sided room, the columns, the symbols, and the globe. So she told, I will call somebody to make drawings for that. And she called Uda, that is an engineer. He was always he has followed the Golconda and so on. So was a person that Mother trusted. And then
he made a drawing.
He made one drawing that I would not call a drawing. It's a sketch, a sketchy drawing.
You have that sketch?
Yes,
you still have that sketch?
I have a copy from the time, yes. And where they are reported the measurement of the room, the symbols, and all this measurement are clearly
like it was going to be.
Yes.
So what Uda made actually
it was a sort of pre-project.
Avant-projet.
Avant-projet.
So what happens after that?
Actually, I cannot say with precision, but Roger either was not there on the beginning, but Roger was mainly staying in Paris. No, he was not staying in Pondy, but he was supposed to come, or he was just coming. I don't know. So anyhow, so what happened is that Mother have given this drawing to Roger.
Uda's drawing.
Uda's drawing, the copy of the drawing, and to Paolo, or to Sat Prem for Paolo, I don't know, the formalities, but anyhow, or maybe they both receive it through Sat Prem, I don't know. So anyhow, this drawing was there, and it was the basis of the measurement for the inner room, creating a form that can stand in the middle of Auroville and is something special or something new or something that.
So he starts working on that.
He worked it, and then he.
Does he consult Paolo and yourself?
No.
Or
no.
Paolo is not consulted either?
No, there was a meeting between Paolo and Roger, and there was a long meeting. I think more private.
But the Mother wanted them to work together, is that true?
Yes, it's true.
So Roger's design...
No, then Roger working more professionally, I would say, that he was working on 3 or 4 projects, I think. There were 2 of them based on the idea of a pyramid. The pyramid is slightly curved, so it was expressing outside as a form of a pyramid. Inside there was the chamber somehow fitted in, no? And then there was a strange sculpture made out of different things. I don't remember so much. I cannot describe so much. And then they were a spherical, oval form, like now. No?
Which the mother chose.
And the mother chose that.
Did the mother change the design of Roger? Did she?
No, no, no. No, it was so preliminary, everything. But Roger design was also not well formulated. No? The structure was approximate, quite approximate.
It's Paolo threw that prem to the mother. The mother asked Kouda to make a pre-sketch,
Yes.
which Kouda does.
Yes.
Then it's given to Roger and Paolo, and they both make plans, and finally the mother chooses Roger's spherical
Yes.
plan,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, when does the digging start of the Matrimonio?
No, there was an interval. No, this was very preliminary. Then Roger brought the project to Paris. This first project to Paris, and there was an elaboration. I don't know, made with whom and in collaboration with other.
They made a
and it came
maquette.
out. It came out as a model that we have seen.
That used to be in that Puna Prema's house.
Something less. The model was made here in Pondi, of course, because it was in rosewood and was well done.
I remember that model.
But he brought the project.
Which you approved of. You felt it was right.
I saw there was a lot of concern with the outside. I don't have seen so much concern with the inner chamber, because, and this was the element that created quite a confusion on the very beginning, because for some strange reason, Roger never read the conversation that Satprem have prepared. The famous conversation on Matrimonio, where all the details are
Sure about that?
100%. So, but me and Paolo, and we were thinking that he don't want to say. He have seen that, but he don't want, because in this conversation there are also certain expression of mother saying Roger is working in our model, big industry, so it was not really. So we thought that maybe Roger don't want to speak about that, but at this point I have to add some more details. The document typed by Satprem is made out of about 40 pages. So that means it's not a document that can be lost. It is a heavy file. Between the many projects of Auroville, Matrimandir is the only one that Mother have described in detail and with passion at length. She give she speak about the meaning of Matrimandir, and also she has given practical details of the execution, the construction, etc. As I have said before, the typed copy made by Satprem was given expressly to Paolo and Roger for the execution of the project. But when I was confronting the project presented in 1971 by Roger with what I was remembering, because I was not having the document, but I was remembering from what I have read 1 year before. I was surprised by the difference. There were quite a number of differences. it was like Roger have never read properly this conversation. It seemed strange, it seemed very strange, but and also unexpected, but it was like that. At the time, the simple idea of Roger not having read this conversation was almost unacceptable, no? Because we were knowing that Roger had received that. Unfortunately, so I tried to get this conversation. Unfortunately, because the desire and demand of Sat Prem to keep the document secret, the document is part of the agenda, and Sat Prem was very keen that everything belonging to the agenda was remaining not public at the time. No? Only when it was edited and published it would have been. So I tried to get this copy, and it took me 4 years, from 1970 to 1974, to finally to get the most, apparently the most simple thing, a photocopy of them. It's a long story, and I will not enter into the detail of that. But I was at the time discovering how much the human nature is playing and making difficulties for the execution of Matrimandiya. I was beginning to discover that, and as I have seen also much later, it was continuously creating problems. And then, but then in the meantime, when Roger had produced a sort of preliminary plan, or a plan not technically defined, but already a plan, people wanted here in Auroville started to go there in Matrimandir and saying that, oh, let's start digging.
So with people on their own decided to go and
to go there and
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You remember these people? You have some names?
One was our neighbor Kenneth, one was Ruud Lohmann.
Kenneth, Ruud Lohmann.
And then there were others.
Gérard Maréchal?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet, no. No, there were others, more maybe Greenbelters.
Right. So they go there and they start digging?
Arindam, a certain
Arindam, yeah.
Yeah. So and they started digging, not knowing exactly where, but because the whole project appeared to be very big, so
that's very interesting.
Let's start.
I never heard that.
Yes. So, and because the individuality and the different characters, so each one was making his own hole. So you are having here one big little pile of earth, there another little pile of earth.
Near the banyan tree?
No, it was already somehow either Roger or Ramanathan at this time was the engineer of the office there, have indicated more or less.
So they had indicated the place. So people started digging. The mother came to know about it?
Of course, I think they were referring that.
She didn't say anything?
No, blessing.
She gave blessing. So the digging started little...
In a very informal way.
So when did it become properly organized?
So then this was a period of assessment, but then at a certain moment there were two things happening. From the side of Roger, or better from the side of his office, now there were the need to employ an engineer for the reinforced concrete, and then from that side, Chamanlal have taken in hand the thing. No, you know Chamanlal, and he came and asked me if I can help to one young ashramite to make more professional drawing to be given to the engineer in Madras. No, Chamalal offered to go in Madras to a government research institute that is called Structural Engineering Research Center that have a place near Adyar there, and where he was knowing the director and a few other people. And then he offered to go there to plead for making this project, so to say, free of cost, or just the minimum for Auroville. And I went with him not the first time, but after at some time. But anyhow, he wanted to have some proper drawing, so that's why he came to see us and to ask if he can follow this young guy that was a good person. That was after he became an architect also, no, and he is now in Calcutta. But anyhow, he was helping in this thing, in this task. So I helped him. We got the drawings Roger has made. We made a sort of an interpretation, no, in a sort of a global, and we made that. And these drawings were given to these guys in Madras.
So that's how you became involved in.
Yeah, I was involved in this technical side. But the most interesting part was here, because then at a certain moment, more people came and say, why we cannot start a Matrimondiera? We cannot.
Aurovillians.
Yeah, Aurovillians. So why?
Do you remember the names?
Well, then there was Gerard. Gerard was one of
Maréchal.
the important, yes, and others, of course.
They
Frederick.
came to you.
Yes, they came specifically to ask me to prepare or to tell what to do now in the excavation in this.
So then you took a leading role then.
Yeah, I automatically went like that. Yes, I was not involved specifically, but it became like that.
So
then then what happened is that I was familiar with these drawings that Roger have sent to Madras, or Chamalal have brought to Madras for the calculation. So I was knowing the measurement. I was knowing the
where to dig,
how big the hole is. So on this basis, I started to make a sketch, or a better execution drawing of the excavation. That imagining how we can do the concreting. Remember, there were two levels. One it is the mixer level and the higher level up.
It was huge. It was huge. It was a huge work.
Well, it was
huge.
What do you mean huge?
I mean, it was so deep and so big. I mean.
Yeah, it was not imaginable to do by hand and to do with Aurovillian. So the next thing was can you think to do that? No, so anyhow, I made this drawing, and this drawing was brought to the mother, and she have said very good start.
Who brought the drawing to the mother?
I don't know, these people, I'm imagining Gerard or Frederick.
So they brought your drawing for the excavation,
yeah,
which had the depth.
Or
and the
Shamsunda, probably. Shamsunda was involved.
And the mother approved it.
Yeah, and she immediately approved it, yes.
Who came back to you?
No, there was a letter of the mother.
I
probably have, yes. Sure, I should have, yes. Where she said, very good, go on. No? She was really encouraging.
So then the digging starts, the real digging.
And then at this point, we wanted to see how to do the digging, because in cubic meter was enormous. No? And my first idea was we have to employ a machine, excavator that can do the thing in a short time. So I went, at this time there were not excavator in the area, so I went to Nively, where there is this big mines. and consulting this, consulting that, speaking with the technical people. And so at the end they say, well, we can send one for you. We are not sure about the road because they are so big, they touch the wire, electric wire, the bridges are not big enough. So they decide to send the technician back with me, and we stop every place and we see every place and so and so. So we made this long trip back to see the thing and note down where it was possible, of course. But in the meantime, we started to do the work. Now people have started to invite.
They just started on their own.
Yeah, and to invite digging people. At the time, was.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
From Aspiration, there used to be at least 20 people every morning.
Yeah, yeah. And it started like that, no? And was.
So under your direction, then you gave some direction.
I have given some drawings, some measurements, some level, but
who was the person on site to whom you gave?
I don't remember. What is happening is that soon after that, Alain Grand-Collat started to be the technical person, somehow following the levels and this and that. But for me personally, it was not easy. I was in charge of the excavation because the mother had said, start, go on. But something in the air was not clear. The move of a group of Aurovillians asking directly to the mother to have her blessing to start the work was not well received in the environment of the Sri Aurobindo Society, in Pondi in general, and also for some people in Auroville. They were planning to get a big contractor, like ECC, that is doing work all over India, and trying to get the building rolling rapidly for the end. And actually I was knowing indirectly by some comment that there was even the plan to inaugurate the Matrimandir for the centenary of Mother birthday. That was falling in 1978. So you can imagine how long before that is really happened. But in fact, for me, the major worry was not the idea to enter in touch with the contractor and deal with the execution and so. But it was the design of the inner chamber that I was feeling it was not made according to what Mother have described. No, I was very much worried about that. And I was somehow feeling that my position was very particular, no? Because I was confronting the actual project with what I have read 1 year before. So I was practically only one to do that, together also with Paolo Tomasi in Pondi, but he was keeping himself on the background. The feeling is that a major changes were necessary to adjust what it was done. I mean, adjust the outside, the structure, and so on. I don't know. I was not knowing what, and I was not knowing on which direction to move. But something was supposed to happen, and in fact, it's happened. Anyhow, having got the experience of working with contractor, especially I was related I was relating with the execution of Bharat Nivas. No? Bharat Nivas was already given to this ECC, this big contractor ECC. And, or it was just in the process to be given. The contractor is coming heavily in. No? He is planning the execution of the work, is taking the drawing, doing their own execution drawings, but they don't ask much. They want simply to get free hand and execute. So what I felt at the time, and I still feel, it is that if we was losing the occasion to get the conversation of the mother, if we were losing the moment, say, for possibility of changes, the vision of the mother for the interior of Matti for the inner chamber, would not be fulfilled forever. It would have not been fulfilled forever. And that was my main worry at the time. So I wrote a letter to the mother, but evidently I was not speaking about this design and so, because Roger was in charge, was in full power, and I was not nobody, no? I was not even. But I wrote about my worries about doing the work with the paid contractor and so and so and so, and I was offering or asking mother to relieving me from the job because I was not feeling comfortable. She answered at length with a written letter, and she ended the letter with a few words. There is always, in spite of differences, there is always a more comprehensive solution for everybody. At the end, she decided, with surprise for everybody, that she felt also some unclarity, evidently. No? She felt that the best was to wait for Roger coming and to see the thing with Roger. In fact, Roger came at the end of December 71, and then mother spoke about me and about the project, and then Roger told her, if Piero is in charge, for me it's okay.
For me it's okay.
So,
That's good.
So it was a recognition of Roger, at least.
And how deep was the hole then?
Nothing, practically.
Practically finished?
No. Practically not much.
Not much.
I was supposed to go to Madras, meet the engineer, and...
No contractor then? That was, the decision was taken?
Yeah. And my engagement supposedly was, because of this wish to have a contractor and so, was that we will do with Aurovillians and Ashramites, we will do the foundation work and the construction of the 4 pillars. And then after, the structure can be given to a contractor.
Mother came to know about this?
Yes, that was
and she approved?
Yes, she approved that.
Roger approved too?
Yes, so this was the solution.
So you started digging with coolies?
Yeah, then we started not only digging that, but also to prepare the execution drawing for the...
Where did the money come from?
The money was a donation, as usual. But the ironic thing was that the party or the group of people promoting the contractor was not having the big amount that would have been needed to employ contractor.
Even then you needed a big amount?
No, if you ask a contractor like ECC, this big, they're doing big project and all over India, they ask a big advance, and they plan the construction in 3 years, and they said, you have to pay me this and so for every year. The money was not there. So this was the weak point, in the whole thing.
But
And
you got the money to pay for the coolies because there are hundreds of coolies.
no, that was available. This money was available. The small money was available, but not the big, the real big one.
But the whole was made with Orvians and coolies only.
Yeah, the whole
A
was made.
huge hole.
Yes, and then with my astonishment, because I was thinking about the excavator, no, and then at my astonishment, I saw that the hole was coming out.
Without
this
excavator.
Yes, and also there were at a certain moment there were 400 people working, 400 laborers working there.
Come see inauguration of the matrimony of the first stone.
Yeah, yeah. When the hole was finished, then there was the ceremony on the 21st of February 1971. No, 72.
If you remember today about that inauguration, what is the memory of that time?
No, there was a sort of almost choreographic défilé, you know, that was
Made by Ashramites.
made by Ashramites, made by people, sympathizer, guests, and so to each one to throw a stone into the mixer machine to make the first symbolic concreting. That was my idea, no? That was
your idea?
Yes, that was my idea. So
Did you feel a presence?
I remember very well. I was curious to see what Satprem will do, no, when he come. And then he took the stone, and then he was there and looking into
He held it for quite some time.
He held it, and then he put it by hand. No, it was people usually was throwing inside like that, but he went there and fit it into the sand. Now there was a little bit of sand, like I was putting that in with some force.
Did you feel it was a momentous event? That
Yes, it was important.
In what way?
It was important moment. It was an atmosphere. It was a concentration. It was a it was happening something. No, it was important. And practically it was the first time we were all sitting there and saying, now we start the Matrimondia.
But the foundation was for you the real beginning of Matrimondia.
The real foundation was when we brought to the mother a stone flattened to write a blessing.
You brought it? You were there?
No, somebody else brought, I think. No, I don't know. Maybe some sooner. But anyhow, this stone came back with the Om, design on that. And this was put into the foundation.
So Piero, the foundation is done. What happens after that?
Well, I was fully busy with the preparation of the real concrete foundation. There was trip to Madras, conversation with the engineer. By the way, the engineer was a very young guy. It was, I think, the second biggest assignment for him. So he was also very engaged into that, very sure of himself. But the deal with the institute, this deal that was done with Chamalal, was that we will make only a report of the calculations.
What does that mean?
What means they will define by writing the different aspects with sketches, handmade sketches and so. But all the drawings has to be made by you.
Here in Auroville?
In Auroville. So in the execution, I found myself involved in designing all the minute details of the reinforcement and the shuttering and the execution of the construction.
A huge work.
A huge work.
Alone? You were alone?
Practically, yes. Practically, yeah. It's not a job that one can employ easily. The draftsman, it's understanding deeply what is written there and not to make mistakes, no, because the
All
security.
calculations.
The calculation, he made it, but all the practical and the understanding and the execution. And so then every time I was supposed to send to him the drawings, and he would approve them, no? Because if there was, so sometimes there were mistake or observation changes and so on. And for me was a job that lasted practically till the end of the structure, the main structure.
Right. So let's go back to the beginning. The foundation is done. When is the first pillar? The first pillar is coming up now.
Yeah, the first thing that came was the slab that interconnect the four foundation. That is supposed to go into the four pillars. No? So the four pillars are having steel rod. They're linking all by opposite. No, you can imagine like a staircase that a ladder that have a tie on the bottom, no, like that. So this is supposed to happen at the first.
Is that the first concreting ever in the matrimonial? That's
Yes.
the first concreting?
Yes, that was
done with professionals or done with Aurovilians?
No, we were installed at our mixing plant. We were having the...
We, the Aurovilians?
Yeah, me, so to say, I've installed the whole thing.
Who was working with you then?
The Aurovilians were doing what I was saying, but we purchased a new mixer machine.
But who were these Aurovilians working with you in the beginning?
Well, that is a question.
Ruud?
Ruud was there, but I think, yes, he should have been there, sure.
Alain Grancola?
Alain Grancola, not so much anymore. He was very much into the excavation. No? He was precious for the execution. Was unique in the execution of the...
Gérard Maréchal?
Gérard Maréchal,
He
sure.
was there in the beginning?
Yeah, he was there from the beginning.
Did you have like a second man, someone you would deal with on the site who would relay your instructions?
I cannot remember exactly when and how, because people...
But these were Aurovilians, they were not employed.
We were, preparing the concreting. The shattering was done by carpenters.
Right. You the same carpenters that you use in Orson Paul.
Yes, the same people. And the steel at the time, after was done mainly by Ruud. But at the time, when we started, was this mass of steel going into the foundation, we were employing some barbender, some paper. And also the transport of the steel was done in large scale by Aurovilians.
What do you mean by transport?
The steel was prepared up on the ground level, and then it was supposed to reach the 10-meter deep excavation.
Yeah.
So they were
along the ramps,
and people were passing down the rods. So there were a chain of people, no, passing down this long road, 10, 12 meter long. No? Yeah, I was there. I was more in the office to do the drawings, but anyhow, this was the work going on. No, it was physical.
You remember the first concreting of this slab?
Yeah, it was a big emotion because it was a huge concreting, and it was supposed to happen in sequence without stopping. No, and we were, for the first time, trying and using these wheelbarrows. No, this I made a design, copying from some handbook, and then Toujours Mieux was fabricated. We were using bullock car wheels, no, and it was the first time we were using this, and was interesting because nobody was believing that he was transporting 500 kilo of concrete. No,
each wheelbarrow had 500 kilos of concrete.
Yeah. And but when you move them, it was easy, no? It was somehow. But then we inaugurated this chute, no, the system of sending down the concrete through this semicircular slides. Yeah. And it was apparently was working also that. No, everything I was theoretically learned from handbooks and photos of places here and there, I found that it was working.
You remember the date?
No, that was not long ago after the excavation was completed.
Mother was still there.
Yes, of course. We sent it, the first cube of concrete, we sent it to Mother. I don't know who brought them, but anyhow, it was sent.
How long did it last, this first concreting?
There are different things. Now, one, it is that the concreting of a slab was happening. It was long concreting, 24 hours at least.
24 hours concreting.
But before that, we were cast a layer of plain concrete that was supposed to in pieces. No, so that was not difficult.
But the concreting was
The concrete of the slab itself was supposed to be all done in one. Yes, so without
So there were different teams of people. It must have
Different-
been well organized.
Yes, it was teamwork and it was a big effort and so. But we make it.
Successful.
Yes,
So actually, this is the first part of matrimony. This is the first real
yes.
foundation of
the
matrimony.
foundation, and also then after that we started to make this rectangular plinth. No, this technically they are called plinth. They are holding each pillar, no, separate but connected with this. So these are 1.20 meters deep in solid concrete with steel reinforcement inside.
4 of them.
4 of them.
Also at one go.
And that was done in layers, and was done in rotation like that. But also there was this. There was like that.
So far, everything went smoothly.
Went smooth, and then after that we started to prepare the shuttering for the pillar.
For the pillars.
And there it started this. Yes, it started the quality of the concrete.
They had a name. They were already named Mahakali.
The name came out in this period. Yes, somebody brought this.
From the mother.
But yes, somehow I don't know. I was not really concerned about the symbolic names.
Right. So the 4 pillars were at the same time the shutterings were being made.
Yeah, the carpenter were working on the preparation of the shuttering, and then after we.
How many tons of concrete? Do you remember how many tons?
No, I don't have figures like that, but a lot.
A lot of concrete.
I know that now I don't remember now anymore. There was some 5,000 tons for each pillar. I don't know, somehow
A lot of concrete.
it was big.
So the pillars come together at the same time, the 4 pillars, stage by stage?
We started one, and then when the shuttering of the lower part was out, we were placing to the next, and then this was going up. So it was one by one, in rotation, so to say.
So this is the epoch of the legendary concretings at night and all the other
Yeah. Because one of the rules was that the quality of the concrete depend very much on the temperature of the air, no? And under the sun, when the stone and the sand is also hot by the sun, the quality would be very poor. So decision we do in the night.
So that's the reason why they were done in the
Yes.
night. So that the quality of the concreting would be...
It's a general rule that rarely is observed for other building.
It is not observed. I have not seen it observed much.
No, not
Much
much.
here.
No, but if
You discovered that also?
no, I discovered in the literature and in the handbooks and all
You
that.
studied a lot.
Yeah, I studied a lot for that. I got some handbooks from Chamanal, specific handbooks.
And the quality of the concreting was always good.
Yeah, and we by decision of Madras, we were supposed to make testing blocks. No, there is a way of testing the quality of the concrete by making a cube of 15 by 15 by 15 centimeter and send to a place in Pondi where they have a hydraulic press, and they measure when the cube breaks,
under pressure.
under which pressure, and this has to be into a certain standard or certain limits. So we were following that. Actually, the ashram laboratory was having this hydraulic machine. Vishwanath was the engineer in charge, and we were sending regularly the cube to them, and they were sending the report back.
Now, in these columns you were, in the foundations you were doing, what was the margin of error that you could have?
Oh no, we were not thinking about error. No, this is a question of few. For me, it was a question of 1-2 centimeters
maximum. And you actually achieved that?
I think so, yes. Because we were knowing that after some time we would have met the structure. So the measurement was supposed to be exact.
When did the 4 columns join each other?
No, that was after, because we completed the 4 pillars till the, say, 0 level, so to say. And then was the next work was supposed to make the bottom of the sphere. So the bottom is in the form of a big slab having curved like a lens, like a lens, with the ring. Is a ring actually, not a slab. That was the next phase, and for that was necessary to get a new approval from the mother. There was what we do now, because so to say, what we have offered before was to do the pillar, and then we ask a contractor to come in. And so, letter to mother, and
you went to mother yourself?
No, I regret that. But it was a difficult period. It was 1970, beginning of 1972.
She was not well.
Mother was not meeting anybody, and so I wrote a letter saying, Mother, shall we go on with what we are doing now with Aurovilians and employing people for the particular jobs, or shall we give everything in contract? And the answer came in saying that you go on like now.
You?
Go on like now,
like
means
now.
With the
Who brought this answer?
Shamsundar.
Shamsundar.
Verbal answer from mother, not written answer. I regret because, I say regret because for me it was another 20 years of work. No, the first phase, in effect, was lasting only 1 year.
To the ground level.
Yeah.
Right.
Till the end of 70.
It took 20 years after that.
We completed the 4 pillars at the end of 72.
Right.
So it was relatively quick.
You would have preferred to give the work on contract?
No, not that. I was always feeling that the work of Matri Mandira should not be treated as a contract or so.
So was okay for you, no?
Yeah, as I have said before, I was very impressed the fact that the Ashramites have built at Golconda, or helped to build a Golconda. I was always
impressed by that fact.
Impressed and thought that this was supposed to happen for Matri Mandira.
And it did.
And so I was absolutely in favor to do the work.
So Mother's answer suited you? You were happy with Mother's answer?
Yes.
So why do you say you would have...
No, I regretted because I would have liked to have a small personal message from her, like to have that. for me personal. It's a personal thing.
You met her after that, before she passed away?
Yeah, probably yes. But my last meeting with her was supposed to happen only my birthday on the 3rd of April, and she have stopped seeing people on the end of March. I came too late. It was a question of 1 or 2 days. Then I say, no matter, I cannot see anybody.
You never saw her again?
I don't see her. So that was my long wait, and so. For me, mother was present, you know, in Matrimandir because her vision, you know, because I was not feeling that we are building something, project of Roger or Paolo or anybody, you know, me or. I was fully into the feeling that we are building the chamber of the mother. We are the depth of this building is coming because there will be a ray of sun and the globe illuminated by it on symbols, and so this atmosphere. I was very strongly feeling that. At this point, Paolo decided to make a photocopy of his copy in Rome and bring it here.
So he gave it to you.
So
You got-
finally I got this copy,
in 74.
only in 74, so it was 2 years, 3 years.
Then you had the vision of mother.
Then I was absolutely astonished, no, because everything was there, no, and in so vivid way, and when she's.
Matrimony as it is today is
Yeah.
the matrimony that the mother wrote
Yes.
in this conversation.
Yes, yes, yes. That was the discovery, no, and then I show it to some people in Matrimandir itself, no.
You remember who these people?
Well, as usual, Roux, Gerard, and this group that was at the time very much into.
Roux, Gerard,
Don't ask me name. I frankly don't remember so good.
Andy.
Probably Andy was already there. Yes. Not everybody was striking in a particular way. I was feeling more intensely that because I have lived the whole thing from within.
But you
no?
wanted the mother's vision to
Yeah.
implement
But
it
I
faithfully.
felt that there was even more important to remain there, no, and do the work, no, because it was really the mother vision.
Once you read this transcript,
Uh,
how does it change the physical Matrimandir?
Well, it changed into the inner room, inner chamber, no, because the project that Roger have done in the beginning was having a different setup. It was a big skeleton, and the inner chamber was part of this thing. The 12 walls of the inner chamber were continuing till down,
Till
till the
down.
second level.
It was not, the inner chamber was not floating in that circle like now.
No, it was walls that were going down. The inner chamber was designed as a 4 petals area with opening down, no? Facing. It was practically open to the second level. It was not so practical, so to say, for meditation because it was supposed to be silent, but
There were too many openings.
it's all completely open. The ramps, there were 4, not 2 only.
There were 4 ramps in Roger's design.
Yeah. So why 4? Anyhow.
So you read the mother's vision.
No, that was, unfortunately, it was not consequently, because I somehow, when we started to work with the engineer, etc., it came out the question of the 4 ramps, for example, and there was clearly too many holes in the ribs. One of the ramps, 1 or 2 of the 2 ramps were passing too low below the structure. So I asked Roger why we don't make only 2 ramps. No? And that was, let's do only 2 ramps. And so it was more also yin and yang, symbol, no, like that. And Roger said, yes, why not? So I agree. And then at a certain moment also I was worried about these huge walls going down,
All the way down.
all the way down. And I spoke with him, and then I said, why we don't stop at the level of the room, no, like that. And then he said, well, this room there up there. And I said, I insisted, no, this, then you will see the inner part of the sphere that must be beautiful, no, it's curved and go up like that. Then he said, yes, do it like that.
So that was the mother's vision actually. She had envisioned a room which was...
I was not following the word of the mother, but I was feeling that if we want to have an inner chamber with this symbol in the middle that is a meditation place, it has to be closed. No, it cannot be open like that.
So you were the one who asked Roger about
Yeah,
this
I asked for Roger for these changes, and he agreed.
He agreed. So it changed the whole design then.
It changed quite a lot. Yes, design was quite. This we then after there was some problem with the engineer because they have started to work with the first design and so, but then after they agreed that we will simplify this.
So the two ramps, it was limited to two ramps,
Yeah.
and the chamber became alone and became...
But one of the big changes was that in the drawing of Roger, the 4 ramps were arriving each one on one of the pillar, you know, in one of the pillars, but not at the level of the room, but a little below. And then there were staircase coming up.
Which was not practical.
Not practical, because everybody sitting would have seen the first people emerging, not like that, from the staircase.
So again you said let the ramp come to the room.
So when I said let simplify, make only 2 ramps, arriving on the level of the rooms. So that Roger agreed.
He agreed also to
Yes,
that.
that was
He agreed to
also.
that. So now we are at the level, the pillars are finished, right? We are in 74, 74?
Yeah. And then
Pillars are done.
mother have said you go on like that. Shamsunda was happy to go on like that because he saw the atmosphere of the concreting, the night work, the ashramite coming. It was
Shamsunda was a big supporter.
yes, so he was supporting.
And Madan Lal also?
Yeah, Madan Lal at the time he was more in the background. Yes, but Madan Lal was very much close friend of Shamsunda.
So once you finish the 4 pillars, what happens?
So we started to think for the next phase. We have purchased, I made a drawing for the scaffolding below the sphere. The slab there is designed in a certain way for which the scaffolding has to remain long time in place. We were supposed to wait 1 year or so.
Talking the slab of the room. Talking
Yeah,
the slab
the
of
slab of the the slab of the
the first floor.
the lower slab. Yes.
the lower slab.
Yeah.
Where you enter now, the first slab when you enter.
The first level, so-called the first level.
When you
yes.
put all the socks and all the
Yes,
things.
yes. So, and it's also a heavy slab because in the middle is 90 centimeter thick and so. And then we decided to avoid Casuarina and all that, no? And also the height. So let's buy pipes. I was coming from Italy where pipes are normally used for this type of construction.
Talking about the scaffolding.
Yeah. In India at the time,
There was no pipes for scaffolding. Only
nobody
bamboos.
was using it,
Bamboos.
but it was available, the pipes and the clamps particularly
Yes, I
were
remember these
available.
pipe and clamps, they were like
The-
part of the matrimony.
Yes,
The legend of
and
matrimony.
we located the company producing that, and we
In Chennai?
no, yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, probably there was a dealer in Chennai, yes. And so we purchased this lot of pipe and
How many?
clamps.
Lots.
Yeah, lot of pipe
And clamps?
and clamps.
And they lasted the whole construction.
Well, the first lot of clamps were very simple and very primitive. The second, then after we found a better company or better production, I don't know, something was coming up in India. So we purchased a better quality. But anyhow, they lasted, yes. And periodically they were clean.
But yeah, this purchasing of the pipes and clamps will have a bearing on the history of matrimony because
Yeah.
they were indispensable, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we purchased the first lot. Then there was the need to think about the structure, the ribs. No? We were speaking about, we are dealing with the ribs, the basic structure. And the ribs were 4, and I thought to design 1 tower each rib.
Say that, repeat that. Can you
To
explain that?
design a wooden tower
Yeah.
in wood, this because we were not having so many pipes, and it was less costly. So in wood, on the top of the tower would have been fixed a winch, not a crane, but a winch to lift the wheelbarrows, and then from there we would feed each pillar individually, each rib, no, individually, each pair of ribs.
It's pair of ribs.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah, so the first thing you have seen, probably, we have still some old photos, is the 4 tower emerging from the excavation. The 4 tower, they were resting till down there and then going up like that.
You designed them.
Yeah, I designed that. All the wood was done by the same team of carpenter. The wood was purchased, I went directly in Yarkot.
Where?
In Yarkot, no? There was
In Yarkot, yeah,
Yarkot is a place where this silver oak
Silver oak,
wood
yeah.
was used for shading the coffee plantation. And at the time they were cutting many trees. So it was relatively cheap and easy to
You
get.
purchased the silver oak from
So
there.
we purchased several lorries of wood beams and to make the towers. Painted black for the okay. So this was going on like that. You see, a lot of work, but not really. Then on top of this central scaffolding, we built the shuttering for the first slab.